Forgot about our flag. Vacation home mailbox. Check your mail. Were the loading times always this bad? Hey, good evening. Right now, it's 9:02 on Monday, March 21st. Kix is here with some shoes and some socks. Footwear's your thing, you treat yourself. That's all for now. Have the loveliest of lovely days. So, welcome back. If you cannot tell, I look worse than that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not exactly doing so well. So I'm a little under the weather right now. You know how in yesterday's stream, I was kind of like, oh, I was coughing like I always do, but yesterday it was like I could feel it like a little like deeper, like it hurt just a little bit more when I coughed, and I was like, oh, maybe there's something else there. Maybe I am actually getting sick. Yeah, fuck. I am just fully sick. So, God, it's been a long day. But we're back again. We're doing Animal Crossing today. Oops. Not because I specifically wanted to do Animal Crossing or anything, but I thought about beating Donkey Kong Country and was like, God, that's going to take at least like 2 hours. And I don't know if I don't have a 2 hour show in me. I don't even know if I have 2 hours for Zelda tomorrow. Which, oh, fuck, Marshall. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I don't even know if I have the 2 hours to do Zelda tomorrow. So I might put a rain check on that. I might not. I don't know. Hey, what's up, Marshall? Yeah, you're on this island. Oh, thanks for reminding. I brought you some old-fashioned cherries. So, tonight, it's Animal Crossing celebrated its 5-year anniversary yesterday. And so, I kind of made the joke on stream yesterday that I was like, oh, maybe we'll hop back into Animal Crossing. It's been a while. It's been 1,820... Well, it was 20... No, I think 27's right. If you count day 1 as day 1. I think that math adds up. There's something weird there. I don't know. So we're now back here. And, we're just going to walk around. We'll pick some weeds. We'll do some cleaning up. I'll shake some money trees or something. We'll talk. I got 3 news stories. I've got a short WIBE. Hopefully we'll be in and out in like an hour. And then I'll go back to laying down. While we're waiting for this fucker to leave, let's open a Pokemon card pack real quick. It's crazy that, like, all the shows I'm watching are now, like, done with. Except for Daredevil. Because, like, usually it's like, oh my god, we've got so many shows to talk about. But, now it's just Daredevil. And, I mean, I haven't been watching Severance, but even Severance wrapped up. Oh, I got a full art Houndoom. Yay. Well, should probably hit the road. Alright, see you later, kid. Oh, I'm level 26. Woo. Can I be honest? I don't even... There are so many... I haven't touched this game in a while. So I couldn't even tell you, like, what we've done or what's going on. We have a bathroom here. I'm gonna try to go around the house, clean up some cockroaches. I kind of forgot we had a bathroom. It's been a while. Alright. A pretty pink bathroom with a blue accent rug. Okay, I know our back room is the bedroom, which was at the time actually based on my real life room. It kind of is. Like, it's a little complicated because I've definitely rearranged everything. Like, some of this still exists. All these desks still exist. But, like, how they're laid out is completely different. This dresser doesn't exist anymore. It's been completely replaced with something else. Because even when I had it, I wasn't really using it. Is there anything I could replace it with? I don't know. Do we have a display do display cases exist in this game? I honestly cannot remember. And I don't even know where I check for that. Like, just a display case. Because I don't hate the idea of replacing it with a display case. Lighted display stand. Fuck it, let's get both of them out. Okay, it's been a while. Let's move that. So, I guess I should start getting into stuff. So, tonight, we are doing... Oh, shit. Cockroach. We've got 3 news stories, all of which are, you know, I find kind of interesting. So, admittedly, one of them is just Switch rumors. I feel like it's been a while, so I did kind of want to... Oh, shit. I did kind of want to talk about that real quick. But other than that, you know, Switch rumors, we have an Xbox thing that I do want to quickly talk about. And then finally, the accessibility... GDC is going on right now, question mark. There's this accessibility showcase that happened at GDC. And it's very interesting. And I do kind of want to talk about it. Where was... Oh, there it is. So that's kind of... Those are kind of the things we're talking about tonight. Other than that, you know, it should be a pretty simple, pretty straightforward night. God. Let me finish this up real quick. But no, again, hopefully we'll be in and out in like an hour. There's something specific I'm looking for. Where is it? It's probably near the end. Oh shit. Okay, it's definitely in the hats. At least I think it's in the hats. See, I see the Wario. I'm looking for the Mario hat. Which I know I have. Yeah, there's like a... There's Wario. Where's Mario? Oh, they're Are they alphabetical? Yeah, they are alphabetical. M. Do I not have a Mario hat? Oh, you know where it's probably... Okay, whatever, fuck it. I know where it is. I completely forgot about the sewing room. So yeah, I have like 2 display cases. Admittedly, one of them just has board games on it. Like, because in real life, this bookshelf doesn't have books. It's got board games. And I've got another board game display thing over here. And then this one's got my amiibos on it. So yeah. But yeah, other than that, you know, the room hasn't really actually changed that much. I admittedly do not remember what this cardboard box was supposed to represent, but whatever it does, doesn't matter anymore. And these sheets are long gone. These were modeled after the real sheets I had. My modern day sheets are just gray. Okay, so let's talk about Xbox. So Xbox released a new promotional video. It was quickly taken down after they made it. But they put up a promotional video that showed off, like, hey, here's the new upcoming Xbox UI. Because, you know, they're getting ready to roll out a new UI. Here's my Mario caps. So they're talking about, so it's a promotional video to show off the new Xbox UI. And in that new UI, there is a Steam page. There's specifically a page where you can access Steam. And there's been a lot of rumors recently that Xbox is kind of shifting itself, rebranding itself, changing things, whatever the term you want to use is. But basically, Xbox is going to be... So a theory I've had for a long time is that, you know, if any of the big three console manufacturers were to step out of the console game, it would be Xbox. And it would be Xbox because they wouldn't stop making Xboxes, but instead they would rebrand Xbox as a style of gaming PC. So you know how you have like things like Alienware, and it's like, okay, this is like a pre-built PC or a laptop that you know is going to be good at playing games. I know other companies, like I want to say Lenovo has like Legion, that's like their brand of gaming laptop. So, you know, each company does their own different one. But my prediction has always been that Xbox is going to rebrand themselves as an Xbox is a type of gaming PC, and it can play games on Steam, it can play games on the Epic Game Store, it can play games on, of course, Microsoft Store. That's the one I was looking for. And I've always thought that made sense, and like that's something I could totally see Xbox doing, and this seems to be moving us one step closer to it. This new UI, you know, it's going to have integration with Steam. Supposedly it's going to have some sort of integration with Epic Game Store as well. And you'll be able to like, hey, I want to view my library. And you'll be able to view just your Steam games, just your games on the Epic Game Store, just the games you've bought through Microsoft. You know, one UI for all your gaming needs. And I kind of see the appeal. I forgot we made this room. Oh shit, this is my favorite room in the house. Oh god, 5 years ago was a very different time. Actually, I think I did this 4 years ago. Or 3 years ago? This was near the end of the series. I actually do really like this room. I think that's neat. The Christmas snow. Fuck, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I really do like this room. This is some of my finest work. Okay, so, yeah. Like I was saying, so Xbox, you know, they want to be your one-stop shop for gaming. Whether that's Steam, whether that's Epic Game Store, whether that's Xbox. And I can see an appeal there. I can see why they're trying to do that. You know, Xbox has spent billions of dollars acquiring these companies. And it kind of feels like they're in, I don't want to say a bad position, but there's clearly this element of, like, Xbox has to, like, you know, they've got to start making money. They've spent a lot of money acquiring, you know, Activision, acquiring Bethesda. Now they've got to actually start making some money. And the question is, will they start making money? And if they want to become, you know, the one-stop shop for everyone's games, on top of, you know, having their exclusives, I could see the appeal there. I could see them becoming more like a PC. I mean, last time we talked about Xbox, we talked about their whole campaign that, like, oh, your phone is an Xbox. Your TV is an Xbox. You know, I've got a Samsung TV, And it's got, like, Xbox integration on it. So I kind of see the appeal, right? I see where Xbox is coming from. I can see the market share. Oh, yeah, the Helix Shrine. Oh, God, remember Twitch Plays Pokemon? That was in, like, 2014. Is Twitch Plays Pokemon 10 years old? Oh, fuck. Oh, my God, Twitch Plays Pokemon might be 10 years old now. I remember I was in high school watching that. Brings me back. We're gonna find some things on this island. This nostalgia trip is not over. But yeah, no, this makes sense. I can see Xbox. I can see why they would make this move. I see the obvious inclination towards it. Is it all gonna work out? I don't know, but I get where they're coming from. I get why they're gonna do it. So yeah, this makes sense. How are people reacting to it? I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, this is just the nail in the coffin. This is clearly the death of Xbox. You know, this is how it all ends. And yeah, I get that. I get why people are saying that. But I don't know, man. Back in, like, the Xbox One generation, I was very, like, console wars, Xbox is stupid buttheads, Xbox sucks, blah, blah, blah. But now, you know, the console wars are just dumb in hindsight. Like, especially, you know, getting us to fight for no real reason. The console wars were dumb. You know, I know, right, nowadays, Sony is really the only one playing them. Kind of. But yeah, in hindsight, the console wars are kind of dumb. And I don't know, Xbox Game Pass is a pretty good deal. Admittedly, I haven't had it in a while. But when I have had it, I've had some good games. Even some stuff I didn't know I was going to play. Like, you know, I probably would have never played Pedestrian. But it was on Xbox Game Pass. I couldn't pass that up. So I've had fun with Xbox Game Pass, and at some point I'm gonna get it again, even if it's just to play, like, Indiana Jones and the new Doom, because there's an appeal to that. But that's not gonna be anytime soon. So next up, let's talk Switch rumors. So Switch 2, the presentation's in like 2 weeks. I think it's like 12 days at this point. People are excited. People are, you know, a little impatient. What was this? A sea bass statue? Was this to, like, ward away sea bass? I don't remember. But yeah, So as things get closer, you know, rumors are intensifying. Last week I mentioned, like, a copyright thing, like Nintendo had filed a patent and people were freaking out about it. Turns out that patent was just GameCube stuff. That basically there was like a patent where there would be like a label in a specific position, and if you laid that patent over a GameCube controller, it perfectly lined up with the GameCube. So that's, I'm assuming, what people were talking about. Are these supposed to be here? I'm going to leave them, but I don't remember if those are supposed to be there. Well, we got some new rumors this week. The first one is, so Xenoblade Chronicles X came out yesterday. No, I have not played it. But in the hullabaloo of Xenoblade Chronicles X, people have been poking around in the code of the game. And I guess inside the code... Oh, it's Care Bears. Inside the code, they have found a reference to a 60 FPS mode. That, you know, potentially there's this 60 FPS mode that, well, you can't use it on the Switch. Maybe on a different system you will be able to use it. And you'll be able to play Xenoblade Chronicles X in 60 frames per second. So a lot of people are taking that as like, oh, you know, this is Switch 2. Because there's all this talk about, like, oh, what games are going to have Switch 2 modes, and... Because, like, you know, PlayStation and Xbox do that, where it's like when a new game is... or when a new console releases, some of the older games, you know, PS4 games on PS5, you can play them and they'll run a little bit better, or they'll run at, like, a more consistent frame rate, or... something like that. Did I play this game on New Year's? Maybe that's it. So that's kind of what people are thinking about. That, hey, you know, maybe this is going to be a 60 FPS mode. I know there was a rumor a long time ago that, well, everything else in the rumor was confirmed, more or less. One of the things it talked about was a Switch 2 patch for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Oh, I just realized our flower... Of course they'd be in season. I haven't changed these flowers since the island ended. That makes sense. So, right, that there was a rumor about, like, Pokemon that, I want to say it leaked Legends ZA. And in the post, it mentioned how they're working on a Switch 2 patch for Scarlet and Violet. And that might still be happening. Like, we have seen nothing to contradict that, you know, that might be getting a Switch 2 patch. Especially if, you know, that's going to be the competitive game for a while. Well, we'll see about Pokemon Champions. There's that. There's Breath of the Wild and probably Tears of the Kingdom. I actually do want a patch for Tears of the Kingdom. Mainly because I just kind of want to play Tears of the Kingdom again. And while I know I could just play it, I'm going to wait until there's a patch. At least that's the plan. Oh, I was trying to collect the Zodiacs. I can't remember what year we're currently in. I think we're in the Year of the Snake. Either that or we're right here in, like, Year of the Dog or something. I don't remember. It's been a while. So, yeah. It's, you know, a 60 FPS patch for Xenoblade makes perfect sense. Do I actually fully expect that? I think anything's possible. I mean, I'm not going to root anything out for, the, you know, it getting updated. Oh. Okay, good thing we can go buy a new one still. So yeah, I'm not going to rule anything out. The other thing that happened with the Switch 2 this week, and I know this wasn't the only thing, these are just the two I have written down. The other big one was the Seattle Mariners. So back in, like, the 80s or 90s, the Seattle Mariners, the baseball team, they were going under. And they reached out to the community to be like, hey, is there anyone who wants to, you know, help us out? You know, help our team from, you know, us potentially having to, like, move away from Seattle or anything like that. So that was, like, a big thing. Again, it was, like, in the late 80s, the early 90s. And the president of Nintendo at the time was actually a huge fan of baseball. And, you know, Seattle is where Nintendo's headquarters are. So they were like, oh yeah, we'd love to give back. We'll just buy the team. So they bought the Seattle Mariners. And they owned the team up until, like, I want to say they sold it in, like, 2016. They owned the team for a long time. And the only reason they probably sold it was because of the Wii U. If the Wii U hadn't have happened, they would probably still have owned the Seattle Mariners. It's not the only thing, you know, Nintendo's got a lot of money. They've got a lot of resources. But that definitely, you know, owning a baseball team and, you know, your big console not doing well, like, at all, they definitely had to cut some corners. And they're not the only company that owns, like, a team. I want Xbox or Microsoft, who has their headquarters also in Seattle. They own... Oh, which team do they own? They own one of the teams as well. I couldn't tell you if it's the hockey team. I don't think there's a Seattle football team. I don't think it's it's not the Seahawks, is what I mean. I don't think it's the Seahawks. They own a team, though. And, so, you know, these companies, you know, they have their plays in Seattle, and Nintendo is no exception to that. But, so they recently, you know, they're doing a new partnership with the Seattle Mariners, because while they may not own them, you know, they'll always have some sort of connection. And this new partnership is that on the jerseys, the Seattle Mariners will have their home jerseys have the Nintendo logo, and their oh wow, this air is bad. And their away jerseys have the Nintendo Switch 2 logo. Honestly, it's very because their jerseys are like white on the normal one and like turquoise, it's like a bluish on the away ones. So the red Nintendo patch and the big chunky square Nintendo Switch 2 patch really stand out. Like, if they had, like, rounded it a little bit... like, the Switch 2... I understand they're just using the Switch 2 logo. But it just looks kind of clunky, and it doesn't look great. But, you know, they're doing what they're doing. But, yeah, so that's another... You know, we're getting the Switch 2 reveals in, like... The big event, I mean, is in, like, 2 weeks. And baseball starts, like, this weekend or next weekend... I don't know. I don't follow baseball. The closest I get to following baseball is the Savannah Bananas. And that's because I think Banana Ball is interesting. And it seems like a lot of fun. And I did actually get tickets this year. Because last year I tried and I failed. This year I did actually get tickets. So, you know, we'll talk about that when that happens. But that'll be later. But yeah, you know, the Switch 2 right around. I know we didn't do a topic of the show. I should... Okay, that's probably there by on purpose. I know I had planned to do a topic of the show. We're not going to talk to you because you're going to ask about moving away. Well, I really have no issue with Sid moving away. I'm good. This is my time capsule. But yeah, well, what was I saying? I don't know. I was going to do a topic of the show about Zelda, and we will probably still do that next week. But that's next week's problem. This week, me is so tired. And I am 100% running a fever. It is so fucking hot right now. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm excited for the Switch 2 event. We will be here. We will be streaming it. At least that is the plan at the moment. And as of this moment, that plan has not changed. So I do fully expect that... Oops. I do still fully expect that to happen. But that'll happen later. Man, any other Switch 2 stuff? I know people are just excited, and I don't blame them. I've seen a lot of, like, how long is the show gonna be? What's gonna be there? I've been seeing a lot of bingo cards. And, you know, I have my hopes and dreams, and we've talked about most of them. But I'm just kind of, at this point, I feel like I've talked about everything I've more or less wanted to. So now it's just time for the actual show. Again, I had an idea for a Zelda game, and I do want to talk about that. But we'll talk about that next week. Even though I fully do not expect to see a Zelda game at this showcase. I think it'd be if they do, it's going to be something that's like 2 or 3 years away. It's not going to be anything anytime soon. Unless it's like a remake. And even still, that Ocarina of Time remake that I've been predicting, it's not going to happen this year. There's no way we get a Zelda game this year. Alright, so our last thing, the actual piece of, like, actual news that I actually really do want to talk about. So, GDC is going on, or some version of GDC, something happened. And basically, the ESA came out, and they announced this new thing called the Accessible Games Initiative. And so, when it comes to accessibility in games, you have different studios that, you know, some are better than others. You know, studios like Sony and Ubisoft are actually really good at accessibility. Ubisoft may be a shitty studio, but when it comes to accessibility, they're pretty good. Meanwhile, you have Nintendo here, who would rather destroy their game than give you even the slightest ounce of accessibility. Because that's kind of how Nintendo works, sadly. So, accessibility, I've been a firm believer in accessibility for a long time. I've been a fan of Laura K. Dale for many years, and that's one of the big things she talks about in her show, Accessibility, on YouTube. If you have never watched it, highly recommend giving it a watch. It's very interesting. Like, admittedly, a lot of the stuff she talks about, like, I don't really use, but I always find it so fascinating. So when I heard about this, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd like to know more about that. So basically, the idea behind this Accessible Games Initiative, this, normally when you get the game industry to come together on something, usually it's something bad, or, it's in a response to something bad, like the ESRB, which came, by a lot of the same people, that came from government regulation. But no, this is actually a good thing. This is the most unified the games industry has ever been on accessibility. Nintendo's here, which Nintendo's only here because they dick ride the ESRB, or the ESA, and I don't get it. I don't get why Nintendo is so invested in the ESA. A shitty organization that literally ruins things, and they're the Sopa and Pippa guys. But nope, Nintendo dick rides for them hard. But Nintendo's here, Microsoft's here, Sony, EA, Google, Ubisoft, Amazon Games, Riot Games, Square Enix, Warner Brothers. So there's a lot of studios here. It's a lot of different people, and just because you're not a member of this Accessible Games Initiative doesn't mean that other studios won't be taking part. Because the idea behind this is basically they want to standardize accessible language and make it prominently displayed in storefronts. Because currently, if you open up the PlayStation Store and you go to, a page, I don't know, you pick The Last of Us, it'll show you all the different, accessibility features available in the game. But Sony uses their own standards of accessibility. They have their own terms that they themselves have created. Meanwhile, you can go into Microsoft and look at, Forza Horizons or Forza Motorsport, and they also have accessibility settings, but they use completely different languages. What one term might mean on PlayStation might mean something completely differently on Xbox. So, it works differently for different companies. And basically let's just call them the AGI. I feel like I've kind of been just, throwing around a bunch of different terms. Let's just call them the AGI. The AGI comes in and is okay, let's just standardize the language. We're basically standardizing tags, because, these are all classified as, tags. When you're looking up a game, and you're oh, well, I only want to see horror games, that's a tag. So, let's say you're colorblind, and you want to look up a game, it's specifically going to only show you the games that have colorblind accessibility. So, it's stuff like that. I don't actually know what we do with gyroid fragments. So that's the idea of this. It's supposed to be, standardization, that, hey, no matter who you are, no matter what company you work for, so on and so forth, you will be using the same terms. This is not a required thing. These companies are agreeing to do it, but they are not required to. This does not, just because these companies are committing to it, does not mean that all of Microsoft's games going forward are going to have these 24 points. It'd be nice if they all did, because I think this is a good stepping stone that every game should have. But this is not a guarantee these are going to happen, and these are all self-selected, so it's it's a self-tagging system. So if you say oh, well, my game, it has speech to text and text to speech or whatever, then, you have to basically self-report that. So that's the ideas. And there's 24 tags. They deal with auditory stuff, gameplay, controller inputs, and then visual. So those are the 4 features they deal with, and they're going to cover all of that. I'm not going to go through all the tags. I recommend, again, Laura K. Day will put out a video. I recommend you go watch that. That covers all 24 tags. The one I like that she points out is, so Nintendo, okay, Nintendo is the family-friendly company. You know, they make games that appeal to everybody. At least that's the idea, is that, you know, anybody can pick up and play a Nintendo game. Not everybody can pick up and play a Nintendo game. When it comes to accessibility features, Nintendo's actually pretty shit at doing accessibility. Like, yeah, they've messed around with a few things over the years. You know, Mario has an assist mode that's like baby steps and doesn't actually address a lot of the issues. Splatoon has a colorblind mode. Metroid Prime has like an advanced map thing. But for the most part, Nintendo's actually really bad with accessibility. For the company that makes games for everyone, they're actually pretty bad at it. And it's one of those things that, like, seeing Nintendo's name on this accessibility games initiative gives me a lot of hope that they're going to be better in the Switch 2 generation. It's no guarantee, obviously. Like, you know, it's Nintendo. Because I think Nintendo's problem is that when they design a game, they design it with a very specific experience in mind. And if you do not want to have their experience, if you do not want to be the little ducky on the string that follows them around and does exactly what they want you to do, then they actually hate you? Like, I know that's harsh, but that's basic. I know that's mixing up metaphors. Like, one of those is a Yahtzee-Croshaw metaphor. But that's basically how it is. Nintendo has a very specific way for you to play the game. And stuff like a colorblind setting, that doesn't really interfere with their vision. But that's not always the case. You know, like the motion control thing. Like, the reason why I know you bring up the motion control things is like Mario Odyssey. Okay, you've got the assist mode that allows you to be way more flexible. But to beat the game, to 100% it, you still need to use motion controls. There are certain moons that are locked behind motion controls that you just cannot turn. Like, in like a PlayStation game, like if they had like motion control something, or Astrobot's a great example. Astrobot, right, you can turn certain actions into, oh, well, instead of, you know, like holding a trigger down, I just want to make that a button press. Like, and Astrobot's really good, but its one fatal flaw is you have to blow into the microphone. There are like only like 3 or 4 instances in the game where you have to blow into the microphone, and that's the one thing you can't turn off because of accessibility. And how the Astrobot devs missed over that, no idea. But that is what happened. So yeah, you know. But so that's my hope here, is that, hey, Nintendo's going to get better at this. Because even if I don't use most of these features, I know there are people who will. And I love some of these Nintendo games. And, you know, I feel like everyone should have a chance to play some of them. Because there are some really good ones out there. And I would just like to see Nintendo get better at it. Actually, wait, let's go hit up the place real quick. Of course, you know, there's still, this is the biggest leap we've seen, like, for cross-platform accessibility, but this is baby steps. Like, this is a good thing to do, but there is definitely still a lot more work that needs to be done. But I think this is great. I think this is a great thing to happen. It brings us one step closer. Of course, more studios hopefully will sign up, you know, more storefronts like, you know, Valve, like Steam and the Epic Games Store. Because, yeah, this is all great. This is, like, the one, like, actually positive news story this week. That's not, like, rampant speculation or anything, but something I can generally look at and be like, yeah, that's good. I'm glad that happened. Anything else? Yeah, I just hope Nintendo gets better. I want them to. But yeah, and there's a whole website for the AGI. If you want to go look up their accessible games initiative, like if you want to go look that up and see, like, oh, this is what they're doing, you know, this is their website, you can go check that out. I'm not to 6 fossils. But yeah, I recommend it. You know, there's some interesting stuff in there. Some stuff that, you know, I don't really think of. And like one of the things, so I bring up Splatoon, how these standards are defined are at the moment like a little vague. So like Splatoon, one of the standards is a colorblind setting. So like your game has, you know, a thing for people who are colorblind. In Splatoon, which is just the example I think of because I played it a lot, Splatoon has a colorblind setting where you can go into the game, and when you find an ink color that like does a good contrast for you visually, you can just lock that in. So that will be the only ink color you see. Would that count as fulfilling the colorblind setting? Or does that not do enough to actually count as colorblind? You know, the fact that you can pick that, does that do enough? And we don't know at the moment. Again, this is brand new. I know the Switch 2 Marketplace will have this stuff eventually. But we don't really know exactly when or how. We just know this is going to happen. But yeah, I think all of this is great. They're all a great thing. You know, they're going to hopefully keep adding more stuff. It's going to continue to be more interesting. And yeah, I'm all aboard for that. So I guess let's go sell some stuff and get us into WIBE. I got 2 food things. I got 2 food things to talk about today, so we'll talk about that. I want to talk about the Octo expansion. You know, my mother's been playing Splatoon. I admittedly do not remember where we left off with her last week, but yeah, I'll try to fill in the gaps. And then, oh shit, no. And then we'll talk about Daredevil. You know, hopefully we'll get through all that real quick, and we will call it a night. That's the hope, anyways. Alright, let's just sell all this. It's done. Alright, let's go chop down some trees. So yeah, we don't have much, but, you know, we'll get through it. And then next week, you know, I mean, we're so close to the Switch 2 Direct. Whatever. So let's talk with KFC. So, you know, KFC is one of those places, it's hit or miss. You know, I've had good experiences with KFC. I've had bad experiences with KFC. It really all just depends. Queso once put it as like, you know, KFC only hits once every few times. But when it hits, it does hit. So I was like, oh yeah, let's, you know, try KFC, you know. Their new thing, so they've got like these new buckets. And you know, they're kind of trying to do like the Raising Cane thing, where it's like, okay, it's a bucket, it comes with fries, some tenders, comes with sauces, like they're, you know, the Cane's big thing is sauce. So these comes with sauce. But instead of a coleslaw and instead of a bread, it does come with a biscuit actually. But instead of like a coleslaw, it comes with these new mashed potato poppers. And that's the thing I was interested in. You know, mashed potato. They're, you know, I like the idea of like a mac and cheese popper. If these do well, I don't know if they've done mac and cheese poppers before. I'd be down to see a mac and cheese popper from KFC. But instead, they did a mashed potato popper. So it's mashed potatoes, and it's in like a... Oh, shit. It's a little so it's like a little popper. You know, they're not that big. They're, you know, bigger than like a quarter, but they're not huge. And it's just these little poppers. They've got mashed potatoes in them. I had them in like a gravy dipping sauce. And yeah, they're not bad. They're not anything amazing, mind you. But they're not bad. I thought they were okay. I have definitely had worse, I'll say that. But yeah, I was like, I gotta try them out. And yeah, they're okay. I'll be honest, I'm not a big mashed potato guy. I know people are much more excited for KFC to bring back their wedge fries, which they are working on. I guess they'll be back later this year. You know, it's like the McDonald's snack wrap for KFC fans. God, those exist, yeah. I actually believe more KFC fans exist than Arby's fans, at least. Good hard sound. But yeah, they were okay. Would I recommend going out of my... The chicken I had was fine. It was nothing amazing, but it was nothing terrible. I've definitely had better, but I've also had worse. So, yeah, they were okay. You know, because I tried their bucket. I like their KFC sauce is fine. It kind of reminds me of like a honey mustard. Like, that's the closest comparison I'd make. But their sweet and sour isn't bad. So I had that. And then the other thing I had today. Sorry, I've been under the weather. I went for, a Friday night family dinner to help my mother beat Splatoon because she was stuck. And then when I got back, my roommate was going to Dairy Queen. And they were like, hey, do you want anything? And I was like, because I had mentioned it like earlier in the week because I know they like Dairy Queen. And I was like, there's a new Blizzard I've been wanting to try. So they were like, oh, I'm going to Dairy Queen. You want anything? And I was like, yeah. So Dairy Queen has this new Crunchin cookie cone. So it's this new sauce. It's this like hard shell, like magic shell where you dip it in ice cream and it gets hard. It's that, but it's like cookies and cream flavored. I'm looking at paintings. So they've got that, and people have been like taking this new stuff, and they had been putting it in blizzards, and it got so popular that Dairy Queen was just like, you know what? Let's just actually offer this. What if we just actually offer this as an option of like, hey, yes, you want this new cookies and cream stuff in a blizzard? Well, don't worry, now you can permanently have it in a blizzard. And I think that's cool. Let's see, the fake one. The fake version of the scenic painting will be missing a hunter. Oh, so this one's real. Okay. I'm only missing like 2. 5 years later, I'm still missing 2 paintings. Not like I really touched this game in the past like 3 years. But still. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. But yeah, I tried it, and you know what? It's not bad. If you like cookies and cream, because it's just an Oreo Blizzard, but with this hard shell in it, and it gives it some crunch, and yeah, it's not bad. I don't know. I'm not a big dipped cone guy. I had a dipped cone at I think it was Wiener Schnitzel. They gave me a free one, and it's whatever. But the dipped cone sauce in a blizzard, pretty good. I know they also do it on a sundae as well, which was another hack thing. But yeah, it's not bad. It was definitely very cookies and cream flavored. It was packed filled with Oreos, but that's a good thing. So yeah, I guess I'd recommend it. I actually don't remember. I just know the only reason I do the fortune stuff is try to get those Zodiac figures. I think we have to say yes here, and then as an offering, she'll purify us, and I think she gives us the Zodiac figure. I don't know. I know there's a way we get the Zodiac figures from Katrina, because that's how I have because it hasn't been the year of the rat in a long time, or that was before the game came out, and it's not going to be for a long time, but I think that's how you get them. I don't know. I know I've got duplicates. It is the year of the snake. There's something specific that a conversation I remember having earlier in this year where it was like, okay, it is the year of the snake. Okay, I don't remember what gets us the Zodiac statues. I know there's a way to do it. Clearly, I just don't remember. Okay, so let's talk about Splatoon. So I mentioned my mother was playing Splatoon. Where we last left off, I think she had found all the lines. She had found all the train lines. She knew where all the things were. Now she just had to get to them. So on the one she was closest to, she was at the Protect the Orb station. And the Protect the Orb station was specifically the one where the blimps and the torpedoes are flying out. Because when I first saw the Protect the Orb, I knew it wasn't Girl Power Station. Because Girl Power Station is on, like, line D, and she's on, like, line E or F. So I was like, I wasn't worried about that. But I was just like, I know the Protect the Orbs are hard. But no, she actually got through the Protect the Orb thing with no... It took her, like, 3 or 4 tries. But yeah, she got through it with no issue. And then she got the thing. The thing was right there. So she was able to get that one. No, easy peasy, no problem. And then going the other way, she had to go up line. It's whatever the blue line is. I want to say that's line B. Because I had unlocked for her one-shot station to try to grind some money. She actually didn't need to grind money for the rest of the game. Like, basically, by the time I had unlocked one-shot station, she didn't need any more money. She still had, like, 15,000. But she made her way up line B. And actually had she didn't have that many issues. Like, there was one, you know, like those carnival games where the thing goes back and forth and you have to, like, shoot it with a gun, like a pop cap gun. There was one with boxes that she did on, like, her second try. There's one where she had to get through a level using, like, a specific weapon. I want to say she had to use, like, a sniper and bombs, and she got through that one with little to no issue. Did she fight I think she had fought the Octo Stamp boss. I think I had mentioned that last time. She fought the Octo Stamp boss, and she beat that one with, you know, it took her 2 tries, but yeah, no, she beat the Octo Stamp boss, the Redux. And that's kind of I don't remember what other levels she did. I know she went up B line. I could look them up, but I don't remember. Expansion B line. Let me see if this is the right line. Oh, just give me the B line. Oh, she had to do a tower level? Because she hasn't played tower control, even though she's like level 12. She's only played Rainmaker once. She's only played Zones once. She's never played Clan Blitz, and she's never played tower control. She did the Rainmaker the Octo expansion level. And then she went in and did the, I don't remember what line she was on. Clearly wasn't B. Is there a map? She was on H. H was the line I was thinking of. Alright, never mind. She was on H line. I know she did a tower control one, and that took her a few tries. Oh god, remember when I did the board game? Or the game show? Yeah, oh my god, that was so long ago. Yeah, so she did the B line, or she did the H line, and yeah, the tower control one took her a while. Slap Bracelet Station was the one I was talking about earlier with the sniper. Baller Size Station took her a few tries. Got her really angry, though, because it was like, near the end, you have to get past, like, 5 enemies, and they're just constantly shooting, and, like, 2 of them have shields. She got really frustrated at that one. And what else? Shooter Mixed... I don't remember which... Maybe that's the one. I don't know Inkit Station. I don't know Break and Bounce Station. And I don't know Cool Your Jet Station. I don't even think she did that one. But she eventually, I mean, she might have. Eventually, she got to the trinket. She did the thing. She had figured out, immediately, she figured out it was a blender. Like, when she got the first thing, she was like, oh, that's the thing in the blender. Oh, it's the green screen room. This is where I do all my green screening. This is where little me comes from, you know? Came from this. It's a lot more work, but, yeah, this is where it all started. So she got all the things, and then it was like, okay, let's go to the promised land. You know, she starts making her way up through the different through the different tracks, you know, the intestinal track, the spinal track. The stealth track she did pretty easily. Getting the weapons took her a little longer. The two that she struggled, she struggled with the weapons one. She struggled with the one where you have to turn off, like, the 8 different nodes to unlock the core. She struggled with that one. The one where you have to guide the orb, the light bulb orb, to the end of the track. That one's just mean, man. I forgot that when you're, like, not shooting the orb, it, like, starts moving backwards. And, like, they give you, like, these... you can shoot these propellers to do the torpedoes. And to, like, stop the torpedoes. But you also have to deal with, like, an Octo gunner that's too far. Like, you can't reach it. You might be able to throw a bomb at it. But it's just out of your shot's reach. That level's fucking hard. And so she definitely struggled with that one. And I did help her out a little bit on that one. But that took her to the end. She got to Inner Agent 3. Or to just normal Agent 3. Not Inner Agent 3. Just normal Agent 3, you know, in the spinal track. And she struggled. She could get through the first 2 phases consistently. She figured out that if she just hides on top of the box, Agent 3 can shoot her, they'll never climb the box or anything. So she got through the first 2 stages pretty quickly. The first 2 phases. Phase 3 is where they use the firecracker thing, the fire hose. And she struggled with that until she figured out she can hide in the corner. If she hid in the top, I guess it'd be the top right corner, Agent 3 can't hit you. Or at least not the way she was doing it. So once she figured that out, she was able to pretty consistently get through Phase 3. Phase 4 is the splashdowns. And she struggled with the splashdowns. But yeah, eventually she beat it. She beat Agent 3, and she thought she had beaten the game. She was like celebrating, like, oh, I've beaten it. That's when, you know, the tower rises from the ground. And so she started doing the bombs. The Tartar boss fight, where it's turf war. The first 2 ones, the blue bombs and the green bombs, no problem. They gave her no issue whatsoever. She had those down by, like, her 3rd try. The yellow bombs she struggled with a little bit more, but, you know, she eventually figured it out. It was the purple bombs that really messed with her. For some reason, riding the rail and having to, like, look up and down to shoot the purple bombs, especially because there's one where, as the last one, not the one on top, but, like, there's one at the very end of the rail where it, like, loops, where you have to basically look, like, straight up to get it, and she just could not get that one. But, you know, she had some runs. She was really struggling with it. She could get to her best run up until that, where she had quit. She quit. She had, like, 2 bombs left. She missed, so when you get to the top of the head, there's the 10 bombs on the head. She did the bottom 4. She goes up to the second layer, gets the next 4, and then there's, like, a 3rd rail you have to get on to get the final 2, and she missed it, and she ran out of time. So she was doing really good, and I was like, if you give it just 1 or 2 more tries, you'll beat it. But no, she stopped, and she was like, oh, I'll call it for today, whatever. And then, you know, dinner, I had family dinner night. And then after dinner, I was like, hey, give it another try. Give it just like 1 or 2 more tries. You'll be able to do it. Within 2 tries, she got it. The first try, did she fall in the water? Something happened on the first try where it was only like a half try, or she got kind of close but ran out of time. And on the second time, she did it. So she beat the Octo expansion. She rolled credits, and yeah, she can now play as an Octoling in Splatoon 2, but that doesn't matter because next time I see her, I'm bringing over Splatoon 3. I like this little bar. I used that. I made that bar for a video that never came out. That's the origin of that bar. It was for a video I never released. Even though I think I've used it as like set dressing once. But yeah, so she beat Splatoon 2. And now it's on to Splatoon 3, which hopefully fares a little better. I don't know. I know the story mode of Splatoon 2 is considered easier. I think it's considered easier than the story mode of Splatoon 3. Like, Alterna is considered harder. I at least know the final... I don't know. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty on that one. And I don't know how side order... I legitimately, a year later... I have no idea how side order is perceived. I know people like it. I just don't know if people love it. I enjoy it. I did a few runs earlier in the year, and I had a good time. I have been myself, watching her play Splatoon. I've been playing 3 again. I'm up to S rank. Normally, if you've seen me play in the past, I normally make a push for S rank at the very end of the season. And usually I don't make it. Like, usually I'll make it, and then, like, the season splits over 2 hours later. But I was playing on, I think it was Tuesday night after we finished streaming. I was just like, yeah, let's play a little Splatoon. And I made it to S rank. I had some really good runs. And yeah, I'm now in S rank for the first time in a long time. So that's pretty cool. Man. So that's Splatoon. Alright, let's take a walk around the museum, and we'll probably call it there for the night. I said I wanted to take an hour. Guess what? We're probably going to be in like an hour 10. Or an hour 20. So Daredevil. We're Daredevil Born Again, episode 4. This one is good. It's got, I did like the previous one more, because the previous one was the lawsuit, and I was super invested in the lawsuit. This one steps it back a little bit more. We see a little bit more Fisk in this one, and there are some good moments. The moment with Fisk, where he's, listening to the kids sing We Built This City, and then he goes to the Latvia embassy, and they're also singing We Built This City, was so fucking funny. I hope it happens one more time before the show ends. Right? Because, again, rule of threes. They did it twice. They got to do it one more time, or, he's got to be, like, driving somewheres and he hears it and he, like, destroys the radio. I don't know. Rule of 3 says that he has to do it one more time. But I think that's a good, funny joke. The stuff in therapy is kind of whatever. So, we find out Vanessa cheated on Fisk with a guy named Adam. I don't know did this happen in the 3rd season of the original Daredevil show? Because I've admitted in the past, I have not seen the 3rd season of Daredevil. So I have no idea if the whole cheating thing was in the 3rd season of that show, or if that, because I only watched like the first 2 episodes of Echo. I don't think that was a thing in Echo. It might have been, but I don't think so. So I don't know where the whole cheating thing comes from, but the way I've heard people talk about it online, it clearly is something that was established previously in the show. So my guess is this was in season 3, but they're at therapy, they talk about cheating, the therapist is worried that, Fisk might hurt them, Vanessa, and she's like, no, I don't feel my safety, I don't fear my safety. Oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. But then oh my god, the end of the episode where you find out that because, they make it sound like while they're in therapy that, it's like, oh, what happened to Adam? Where is he? And that makes me think that Fisk killed Adam. Like, that very obviously is like, okay, they're kind of implying this. And then at the end of the episode, you find out that no, he's got Adam locked away in a cage. And he's just eating a meal, a really nice meal, while Adam is just yelling to let him go. That's good. That was really good. That's a good moment to end the episode on. Meanwhile, with the Daredevil stuff, he's representing this guy who's being arrested for stealing kettle corn or caramel corn, and this guy wants probation, and Matt's like, oh, the best I can do is, like, he originally says like 30 days. He eventually gets it talked down to 10. And this guy like blows up on him like, oh, you know, the last time I was here, the last time they put me away for 30 days, I lost my food stamps. And I had to start, stealing food from dumpsters and whatnot. So even them just putting me away for like 10 days. And like, I completely get what the guy's saying. Well, yes, obviously a cab, all cops are bastards. There are no like between Matt and this guy, there are no bad guys here. Like, I completely get it. I know what's going on. It is a good moment. But the Matt moment that I really care about in this one is, so he goes and he does a little bit of like detective work looking for the bullet casing. Because he knows the bullet casing, it was never recovered. So he goes looking for it. And he finds it in the sewer. And I like that little detective work. It reminds me, okay, so I've never seen Sherlock or Elementary. But if you watch H. Bomber Guy's video on Sherlock, he uses a scene from Elementary where they talk about how you can find like a hidden safe room based on like the weight of the floor, and like they roll like a ball to see that the room is weighted. And it's like, okay, if you're watching Elementary, that's something that makes sense. You can totally understand how like someone could watch that and get it. And that's kind of what this little piece of detective work felt like here. Like, he rolls away one of those like little shots and it rolls down into a drain, and that's where he's able to find the bullet casing. Like, yeah, that makes sense. And if you wanted to do that in real life, it would probably work. So I liked that moment. But on the bullet casing, it's got the Punisher's logo on it. And so he goes and he visits Frank. And this is the moment. I don't remember who plays Frank Castle in these shows, because it's the same guy as the Netflix shows. But my God, this conversation is so good. This is the moment of the episode. If this episode sells it, it's on this one moment. I'll admit, I'm not a huge fan of the Punisher. I'll take a Batman over a Punisher any day of the week. I get why people like him, and especially after this episode, like, I totally get it. Like, that whole conversation of, him telling Matt, like, oh, you're just here looking for an excuse, right? Say his name. Because, Matt's blaming himself for Hector's murder. But Punisher's like, no, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Foggy. And, he takes a jab at Punisher, and it's like, that's the first honest thing you've said the entire day. That was really fucking good. Man, the entire conversation is so well done. I hope this isn't the last we've seen of Frank Castle in the show. I hope he comes back. We know all these dirty cops exist that are using the Punisher as like inspiration. And the show's taken a lot of influence from recent comics. Because also another good, I like at the beginning of the episode, Hector's niece comes in. She wants to see Hector's body, and Matt's like, no child should have to see that. And then he just like hugs her, tells her it's going to be okay, right? That, they'll survive. Hopefully the guy will get caught. And there's the hope that Matt's going to go get him now. But the entire scene with Frank Castle is really good. And I hope this isn't the last we've seen of him. Again, not a huge fan of the Punisher, but he is used so effectively in this episode. And both him and the guy who plays Frank and Charlie Cox, they both give fantastic performances. Like I said, I have not seen Daredevil season 3. I have not seen the Punisher show, but I swear in season 2 of Daredevil, doesn't like Frank have Matt tied up? And they have, like, a conversation about what it means to be a vigilante. And Frank basically tells Matt, like, oh, you're one bad day away from becoming me. And that's kind of what... I'm not going to say they're the same conversation. Because they do things pretty differently. And what I like about this episode is that, right, Frank says, like, hey, when I'm going out there doing my job, taking care of crime, I hear my son's voice. And he tells Matt, like, from now on, you'll hear Foggy's voice. Telling you to, push it one step farther. Oh, sure, Bullseye got life in prison, but Foggy doesn't have a life at all. God, the writing is so fucking good. I guess Kevin Feige wrote the episode. I think I saw that in the credits. That Kevin Feige himself came on to write on this one. So that fucking shows. So yeah, it is a great episode. Daredevil, I've been enjoying it. It's a lot of legal proceedings and whatnot, but that's not a bad thing. And you know, the end of the episode where he goes in, we see the 5 different hoods, including the one from She-Hulk, which I just have to bring out because I'm petty. But we see that, and then they hint that you know, he's training, he's practicing. You know, we're gonna see Daredevil. They're slow. They're. I don't know how many episodes are left in the show. I don't know if it's 2. I don't know if it's 4. But they've been clearly building up Muse this entire season. You know, we see some of his artwork in this one. We see him extracting blood from somebody at the end of the episode. Him carrying a guy on the subway at the beginning. So yeah, there's. You know, I'm waiting for that to all blow up, all that to blow over. Now let's go blow up. But so far, it's going really slow. Yeah, I'm liking it. Hey, look, it's a vampire squid. If you have not, there's a woman on TikTok. I think her channel or her profile is called Zuzical, and she does, you know, she takes popular songs and makes them educational about different like animals and whatnot. So she took Fireflies and made it about fireflies. And she took Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire and made it about the vampire squid. And I just think that, I thought that was neat. And so yeah, seeing that's what reminds me of that. But yeah, Daredevil I've been enjoying it. I know some people are probably wary of it, especially after the first episode. But I think what they've been doing has been good. It has been interesting. It's not like Foggy's death means nothing in the show. Like, no, that's the entire point of the show. This is Matt trying to not comes to grips with it, but like see like, oh, how has Foggy's death just completely changed him as a person? So there's a way to get it. Whatever. So it's been a good show. I'm enjoying it right now. I did like the last episode a little bit more, but that's just because I was so invested in that court case. I thought the court case was very interesting. And that ending, man, and... God, it was a good episode. It was a really good episode last week. But yeah, I think that takes us to the end. You know, we went for an hour 20. Okay, that's not bad. Oh my god. So we will be back next week. We'll probably finish Donkey Kong. If I'm just... yes, will I have another topic? Probably. I know the 2 I was floating around was I had the idea of like, hey, Zelda, let's make a Zelda game. I already have the idea. I just need to actually, you know, put it all down, get some images and whatnot. So I have that. The other one I want to do is, I talked a few weeks ago, Kinda Funny looked at a top 20 Switch games list, and I feel like that'd be a fun one to do. Like, hey, now that we're at the very end of the Switch's lifespan, let's look at what are my personal top 20 Switch games. I can see that being a fun list, so I'm thinking about that as well. Will I be back with Echoes of Wisdom tomorrow? God, I don't know. If I'm still feeling like this tomorrow, probably not. Because we're going to have to go for at least 3 hours. And, I don't know if I can do 3 hours. I mean, I probably could, because, you know, I'm good like that. But I'd rather not have to if I have to. I don't know, if I'm still running a fever, and usually my throat gets worse before it gets better. So I would not be at all surprised if it gets worse, if I wake up tomorrow. Like, the ice cream helped a lot. But if I'm coming in tomorrow and it's like, no, you know, I'm dying, I would not be surprised. Hey, Brewster. It's been a long time. So yeah, that's just what's coming up in the future. Other than that, I don't really have any plans. We are going to finish, even if we don't finish it this week, we'll definitely finish it. Basically, hopefully by the next time we are doing this show. But between episodes 12 and 13, we will have finished it. I'm tired. I'm gonna go put on a random Floyd Sun video I've seen before, and hopefully just pass out. Cause I am tired. I've been trying to drink a lot. I've drinking like 5 cups of water today. At least a gallon. At least a gallon. And I'm just like, oh my god, it's kind of one of those things, like, the longer I go on in the day, the more I hate it. I've got some Kool-Aid mix as well, and I should just, like, throw, like, a tablespoon of that in there. You know, pull a Brett Kreischer? Whatever, and, you know, drink his Kool-Aid. I should just do that. So looking back on, just, you know, real quick, some closing thoughts, even though we could just end off here in a minute. I do still like this island. Yeah, you know, am I glad am I ever going to do 365 days of Animal Crossing again? No, not unless we got another pandemic, which, please, I don't want another one of those. You know, a lot of people don't like this game nowadays, and I feel like some of those issues are totally valid, and I totally get. But some of the issues people have with this game, I feel like, well, yes, Animal Crossing came out at a very specific time, and because of that, the game did really, really well sales figure-wise. But the game kind of suffered for it, because Animal Crossing is not a game you're supposed to play for 8 to 12 hours a day. You're only supposed to play it for like 1 to 2 hours a day, over, you know, increments of time. But when we had nothing better to do, that was all people were playing. And the game kind of suffered because of it. Like, yeah, let's put it like this. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Let's put it like this. Animal Crossing New Horizons is a victim of its own success. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever. You know, I'm glad I did it when I did. It's cool to see the island. There are some things I've just completely forgotten about. Like, we didn't even come over to the Fruit Island, but I actually do like the Fruit Island. I remember the original version of it, and now we have the more artistic version, which I think is a lot better. It has a lot more charms and such. So yeah, I'm happy with our island. Yeah, it's got its issues. And, you know, I've definitely seen, like, islands that, like, better use their space, that are, you know, more designed, they have a lot more going on. But, you know, there was a part of me that was like, you know, I wanted to find a balance between, like, nature and, you know, us building stuff. And I feel like I pulled off something okay. I was gonna say, this shouldn't be a fossil. There's no way this is another fossil. Yeah, I like our island. It's nice to come in and clean it up after a while, because it has been a while. God, remember our quest for signs? I had all these ideas to do with wooden signs, and it took us like 200 days to actually get them. God, my American flag. Oh, how far in the country we've fallen since then. Luckily, this one still stands true. But this... remember when we did the original Animal Crossing, and Joe Biden ran... You know, Joe Biden was elected president, and, you know, things were supposed to be better. You know, I didn't expect everything to be perfect. I didn't love Joe Biden. But things were supposed to be better. And now, look at it. Oh, how... Now, like, to be fair, when we started the series, he was still kind of president at the time, but... Yeah. There are some things I remember. You know, up here we have our Tomb of the Unknown Villager. I remember this one for sure. Alright, let's head back to the house. I wish they'd done more with this game, and Maybe they'll do more next time. You know, so when I talked about the Splatoonification of Mario Kart, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of the things I mentioned was, oops, not that. I mentioned how you could create a name tag, and how both Splatoon and I couldn't think of another game that used the name tag system. Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing also has the name tag system. It took me a while to remember, and I might have even brought it up then, and I just didn't remember right now. But do I think we're seeing the Splatoon 4? I think it's possible. I don't know. It's been interesting to find out that Chugga Conroy doesn't want to do Splatoon 4 or Splatoon 3. I don't blame him, and like at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter. But yeah. So yeah. Actually, let's go end off on our chair. Where's photo mode? Yeah, let's just kind of end off there, shall we? So we will be back in the future. More Zelda, more Splatoon. They announced the new Splatfest. Are you a morning person, a noon person, or a night person? It's not exactly that, but it's morning, noon, or night. Team Night, 100%. I've said it in the past, Team Night all the way. So we'll be back for that in like 2 weeks. That's after the Switch thing, though. But at some point, you know, we got to finish off Donkey Kong. We got to do some shiny hunting in Pokemon. Like, oh my god, I really need to do some shiny hunting in Pokemon. Because I think that event's over now, but, like, there's still more shiny. And, oh my god, they announced a new Pokemon pack in Pocket TCG. I'm, like, 10 cards away from the from Triumphant Light. Still so much more to do. Alright, this is where I'm ending off. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.